You know, it's supposed to be summer. I guess Idaho did not get the memo. It's a little chilly. It's not enough for me to, you know, break out my blue jeans, but I had a nice sleep last night. Today I've got something planned, and I'm going to take a little bit of a detour, about 200 miles out of the way, I think, all in all, to get back on I-90. But got something planned that I've wanted to do for a while and show you guys. But I was actually talking to a really nice gentleman recently, and he goes, dude, you got to go here. You got to go to Bannack. And I'm like, I've never heard of it. Like, it's not a, what? Well, where did I go? Because it was just great time. And literally like last week I was talking to him. So, all right, let's go. Oh, sheesh. We've got a long drive ahead of us. 5.5 hours minimum. It's 372 miles. Whew, we're putting on the miles. But if you guys are wondering why, I went ahead and ordered the analog gauges. Just the other day, what I found was that screen was frozen. And you know, you can go through here, and this display, if you're not familiar, it can show you all sorts of cool stuff, including TPMS and temperatures and all that good stuff. But it was stuck on the screen for tow haul mode, or whatever type of, you know, settings that it had at the time. And I'm like, what in the world? It didn't make, you know, no sense at all that it would be frozen there. It never has frozen there before. But the difference is I could still use a tachometer, speedometer, fuel gauge, all that crap. Most important is, of course, the speedometer, because I was driving at the time. It just froze. If it was a full display, like a full digital screen, couldn't do that. What? Basic things. So for those that are like, oh, you're just, you know, they're stable, they're not gonna break, whatever it is. No, I'm not buying it. Like, I mean, we see what happens every day. You know, even my phone's not as trustworthy as I would like over just good old analog gauges, right? Let's go. Got the Patriot Power podcast going.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good. I just love this.
What happened after they arrived in Cambridge and met up with George Washington?
Found a Maverick. I am so glad. I love Maverick for whatever reason. These have always worked out for us. Actually, here's something kind of crazy. The absolute cheapest fuel we could find for diesel yesterday was $5.15, I think it was. I mean, yeah, I filled up, I think, for a little higher than that, something like that. But I was seeing it at, you know, $5.90. I mean, it was insane. I mean, literally right over the border from Spokane to Post Falls, Idaho, it's like $1.50 less per gallon, including at Love's. Love's is one of the highest. I know some of you guys like the fuel discount programs. I don't use any of them. I had that question. Right now we're paying $4.17 a gallon. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see that a lot lower, but I mean, just for the privilege of buying fuel in Washington State, what? Well, it's a beautiful ride so far out here, and I will say that the rain has kind of held off. I don't particularly care to drive in the rain. We'll just do a little walk around here, say hi to Colt. Colty, come here, buddy. Come here. The people want to see you, buddy. What are you doing? Oh, he's a happy boy. He's a happy boy. Yeah, he is not mine. He always looks down. He looks like a bird. Watch. Oh. He kind of cocks his head too. He's so funny. He's doing really well with antibiotics and such. He doesn't mind taking these ones. So I'm thinking it was one of the bigger pills last time. Yeah, he's a happy boy. Yeah, you know, this is a lot of white. And I'm amazed that it's not dirtier already. We put on a few miles already. Oh, it's a clean look. So one thing I noticed is that those Steelies, that it came with, because we got, of course, swapped these over from our last trailer, the Steelies were a slightly kind of bluer white, I think it was. More slightly blue, whereas this is more of a neutral, just white. Maybe slightly on the more yellow side, if at all, right? Like, you can actually see it here. So perfect example, kind of a more blue-white, neutral or yellowish white. I thought it was gonna look a lot dirtier. I mean, I'm seeing some dust up there, but nothing bad, so big win here. getting more fuel. Our school bus had a 100-gallon fuel tank. This has 31, 33 gallons, something like that. I look forward to the 50 gallons. If we had 50 gallons of fuel, I would be willing to bet I wouldn't have had to fill up in Washington. I could have just, you know, saved a few bucks, man. It adds up. So, I mean, $1.50 over 30-something gallons is pretty. That's a little chunk of change there. 424. And if you guys are wondering, I'm currently in these mountains and driving about 72 miles an hour. On average, speed limit is 80, so I think it's a good compromise here. Getting about 13.1 miles per gallon. So that's not great, but it's, you know, it is what it is. If I'm a little lighter with it, don't go above 55. I can get 14, 15 miles per gallon while towing. And with that monstrosity on my back. So there was a gentleman, it was really funny. He's driving like a red Chevy. And he goes to like fly by me, and then he goes, wait, what? And he clearly like slowed down to read the sign. I thought that was funny. So he's like, it was the biggest double take I've ever seen. We're in Dillon, Montana, and what a cool little spot here. It's got some Wild West vibes, or maybe another half hour from our destination for the evening. The weather has turned, so we're out of the 40s and it's about 50 or 51, but with a little bit of a breeze. So I may end up putting those long pants back on. I'm gonna try my damnedest not to. I think it's supposed to get down to 40 tonight. We'll see. Man, I love Montana. Everybody loves Montana, right? It still hurts. The fuel prices are definitely coming down. No doubt about it. So I didn't realize this is actually a state park, but this whole ghost town apparently was preserved by the state of Montana. And what beautiful land it is. See this gorgeous countryside out here and placer mining. These diggings were started in the 1860s. And then I see an RV down there. So I don't know if folks who camped out here. That cabin down there is beautiful. Great cabin. Huh, yeah, some sort of camping site. All right. I didn't realize this was a state park, let alone a like a campground sort of deal. It's tough to see, but there's a nice creek down there too. All right, straight ahead, Bannack Ghost Town. There's a park visitor center, a quarter mile that way. And then there's a group area, group use shelter, a road agent campground, and vigilante campground. Huh. Interesting. I think that's like park housing there, maybe for the rangers and such. But they look like just old houses, just, you know, mining town type houses. Oh, okay, so we park here and we can walk in. What? All right. You guys know how I do it. I don't do any research in the slightest. So I thought this was gonna be like a regular town people forgot about. Nope. All right, so we're gonna take a little walk through. I mean, already, check out this artifact. An old wagon. That's a lot of steel. Yeah, it's funny how much steel we use today. Actually, it's kind of impressive. The technology of everything has changed, including, you know, something as simple as paint, right? And the chemicals we can use and then can't use because it has this or that. And here's a little straight 6. Watch that be like a, not an old Cummins or something like that. What? Does this say anything on there? Firing order. 153624. Yeah, I don't think this is as old as it. Kind of cool. What a leaning cab. Oh, you can just go into these. Okay. Oh, this is neat. You know, they built these buildings out of these huge logs. And if you look at the quality of homes today, you're lucky if you get OSB. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So apparently Bannack was along the Lewis and Clark Trail in 1806, the first important gold camp in 1862. There was a scene of vigilante activities in 1863, the first capital territory in Montana. Oh, this is an old building. Look at the old glass. You guys see the distortion? I guess this is a visitor center. Man, that's cool. An old West town. There's What's left of an old rifle there? Some handcuffs or leg irons. Yeah, a couple artifacts in here. Law and order, and look at that noose. Sheesh. Bannack attracted a number of rough characters who were from the other side of the mountains, men whose crimes had driven them unwhipped of justice from California and Oregon. I guess today we could include Washington to that mix. You guys read that? The vigilante oath said to have been copied from one used by the California vigilantes pledged as signers to secrecy, mutual protection, and adherence to the standards of frontier justice.
It is a good book.
Here's a shot of the whole town. 1882.
Another book on there called Nyanuki.
Alrighty, I grabbed one of these little booklets, and it actually explains what all the buildings are here. Essentially, it was an old gold mining town, as one might expect. Now, what happened was that in 1942, you could not mine for precious metals, including gold, and so people went, kind of killed the whole town. It's really interesting stuff here. But, people went where the money was because everything was gold here. At one point, there was huge ships that were drudging up the river there, the creeks and such, trying to get gold. Oh, this is a cool house. It seems a shame to leave your home, right? But some of these are still open. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Oh, this is really cool. I mean, this house, minus the furniture, could use a little bit of touch-up. Look at the wallpaper. Yeah, a little bit of touch-up. Whoa, you got a built-in closet and, ooh, with the wallpaper there. That's something. You know what I don't see is, I kind of like that one. I'm not seeing a bathroom, so I'm guessing a lot of outhouses. Not a huge closet in here, but then again, I'm sure there were not too many fashionistas that needed to, store all their clothes. At some points, they had 99.5% pure gold here. That is quite something, considering that typically you would mine and get 80 to 90% pure gold, maybe up to 95%. So that's significant. Look at this old it's a schoolhouse. Whoa. So apparently this was also the Masonic Lodge, as well as the schoolhouse. All right, let's see if you're unlocked. Oh, it is. There are some really tall ceilings in here. And how's this for a classroom, huh? Okay, do I fit? Well, yes. I mean, not the most comfortable, but this does the trick. What a cool building. Not that many kids, but one classroom for all the subjects. This is cool, but it's not a long walk home. This is a very big town. So the Freemasons that designed the building, created the building, or Freemasonry as it's more properly called, is an international fraternity whose origins go back to the builders of those remarkable Gothic style buildings in the Middle Ages in Europe. Masonry calls itself that religion in which all men agree and requires members have but three beliefs: a belief in a supreme being, recognition of the brotherhood of man, and belief in the immortality of the soul. It's so cool to be able to just walk around here and go into these buildings. Here's some old mining artifacts, and I might be able to use that chain for Emma's bike. Oh man, look at that. That's really something. That much steel and hasn't rusted through yet. Look at these old houses too, look. Man. Oh, they did paint the side of this. But still, the logs. I'm sure that planing the wood was, that was a lot more work. Oh. Yeah, you'd need some thick walls to last through these winters. Negative 40 Fahrenheit. Okay, did you do your wood storage out here? Or, some sort of garage, right? Cool. Did at some point this have linoleum? would not expect that. You know, this goes to show how much people used to have and they lived well enough, you know? And how much technology and portable technology, you know? Like, and not just this camera, right? But like, I don't know, running water, you know, toilets and such. How much we have that we take for granted. It's amazing. I think I'm gonna head over here actually. But when folks are like, yeah, you can't live in an RV, you know, like, think about this. You know, there's actually a story here about the old hotel, the Goodrich Hotel, and there was a gentleman, Jack, who was getting rowdy. He was drunk, right, because there was a saloon in the bottom. And the plumber, he goes, yeah, I'm done with this. Goes ahead, pulls out his gun, shoots the guy twice. Just because, you know. And I'm thinking, I'm like, man, you know, the transportation technology that we have, the safety that we have today and we take for granted. And, you know, cowards are gonna complain and say, oh, we live in a violent time and safety, take away. You know, they had far less safety and, you know, far more freedom. And I don't think that indicates that, like, you can't have freedom if you want safety, right? That's not quite the balance, you know, but it's fascinating, the conundrum. Tool storage in here. The laws help. What makes us safe? You know, I would argue that societal pressure has far more to do with safety than, you know, technology or laws or, you know, any of that. But of course, technology is a wonderful thing too. And so I feel so spoiled to live in an RV, you know, considering, man, they must have re-sided this just a little bit ago. What is this? What is that? Let's see if we can check that out. Now I've got the running water, I've got solar, I've got power everywhere. And I was wondering, I was like, how do they get power here at the state park? It's all underground, I guess. So, you guys are all on generators or something? Oh, it's an old church. See some of the glass up there? Oh, it is. Huh. There's gotta be a story here. This doesn't look like today's pews, does it? House of worship. So there was actually a roaming minister, which was a thing. A roaming minister that he goes, all right, I'm the pastor here, because they were really worried that religion wasn't, you know, didn't exist here, and religion was important. And so a lot of the women, especially, were like, hey, we need religion in the frontier. And one of the, you know, the pastor was like, hey, the saloons are open on Sundays. What is this? You know, that foundation makes that house look a lot close. Oh, yeah, how is that not touching? What? Oh, man. Nez Perce or Pierce? Pierce sounds right. Perce, I don't know. Did kill 4 ranchers in Horse Prairie, southwest of Bannack. They never threatened the town. The bodies of those unfortunate settlers were brought to town and buried by Brother Van, who was here during the scare. Boy, oh boy. They did build, you know, considering like there was no automobiles back then, of course, you know, I guess it makes sense that they built so close to each other, right? Ooh. Hello. Now the map is not super specific about which house it is. Of these 3, I'm going to guess it was this one. This house was used to quarantine people that were sick with like influenza, yellow fever, typhoid, you know, etc. And apparently, people believe it's haunted because folks that contracted something and were sick were quarantined until they either got better or they died. And apparently, you know, especially a lot of children died in here. It's kind of a creepy looking house. Hold on, okay, am I gonna fall through? Sure feels like I'm going to fall through. Okay, I don't really need to go that much farther up. Hello? It's kind of sketchy in here. Rickety house, I tell you. Oh, more of that linoleum. Huh. Yeah, I imagine they put them upstairs and someone was down here that could feed them and take care of them. I'm guessing there'd be a lot of crying children, and of course, I'm sure not too many people wanted to, you know, be close to them. But you know, as a child, like, what else are you gonna do? That's sad. Another modern miracle, right? Is the medications that we have, and there's a lot of arguments to be made one way or another, whether modern medicine is truly what we make it out to be. But you know, antibiotics, good and bad, right? Oh, whoa! It's probably ghosts trying to crawl their way out. You know, I don't know. Whew. I wonder how many of these were like add-ons. Kind of feels like something that would have been added on, right? Whoa, that's strong. That is, wow. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, this feels like an add-on. And why not, right? That's really something. As with anything, there's reasons for everything, but these folks could just add on to their house, you know, however they, no permits, no nonsense, right? No government telling them they could or could not. You know, you're here to make money and, you know, make a life and raise a family and such. This is supposed to be the Ovid store. Ah, it even looks like a little shop from the front. Isn't that funny how back then they'd kind of do a facade? Unlike Disneyland. Kind of funny how that works. Okay. Any good? No. No. Okay, can we see anything? Yeah, I'm sure this is one they want to protect. Sure, there's a lot of memorabilia and such. Is that a jail? It's got bars across. That's not a jail, is it? There's a green roof, or a dead green roof. This does kind of look like, dude, those were some pretty, is this a, I think this is a jail. What? Oh yeah! Look, oh. Huh. You can see him through the hole. Okay, so this is the place you don't want to be. There's no glass in here. Can you imagine being in jail? Which I'm sure there were not a lot of folks actually jailed here. But yeah, if you're here in the winter, you're in for a bad time. But here, they speedy justice, right? Because the folks, nobody wanted to guard these guys. You know, if you did something stupid, nobody wanted to guard you. They want to be out working their claim. So how funny is, well, funny and not funny, right? You have a right to a speedy trial. It's in our Constitution. You also have a right to a fair trial. And I'm sure that some of these guys had their constitutional rights violated. But I mean, once you're gone, so. Whoa. Oh, so this is the Christmas store. I don't know though. I mean, I'm guessing Christmas was somebody's name. But you had a barber in there? Ooh, look at those dapper gentlemen. Modern hair and beard styles. Ooh. You handsome son of a guns. Let's see. Huh. For loose dandruff and dry hair. Ideal hair tonic. Oh, and it looks like maybe that's something to weave yarn, spin yarn, whatever. Work with cotton. I am an idiot. I read it wrong. It's Christman's. George Christman, not Christmas. Here's the other side of that. At some point they got propane, like a natural gas line, and some electricity in here. Upgrades. When the gold rush was at its peak, jails were seldom used. Offenders were warned, banished, or hanged, is what we saw here. No one wanted the job of guarding prisoners when they could be working their claim. When Plummer was elected sheriff, the man who shot that other dude twice, Mr. Jack, he had the jail on the right built, and it's uncertain when the one on the left was built. Oh. Oh, okay. Second jail down there. Not much to look at. This is the first jail built in what became Montana territory. Inside the original or smaller jail, the prisoners were chained to the metal rings attached to the floor. As a reminder for those who were locked up here, if you look through the barred window, the gallows are plainly visible. Okay, so I see. So here, 19 is that, and I'm looking for 8. 8 is the gallows, but apparently 8 is way up there. So if we look out of those bars, we can see the gallows way up there somewhere. Oh, you know, it must have been, that's where they hang people. Ew. You know, and it's interesting, the death penalty today is considered cruel and unusual punishment in some states, and others, you know, they've taken it off the table. But I think that's an interesting debate as well. And I think there are some people that they are too evil, right? You all know. What a debate though. And then there are also innocent men who spend their life in prison or who have been, you know, executed. Hanging, I think to hang someone was considered cruel and unusual punishment as well. Hotel Meade. Well, apparently in 1876, this was built for 14 grand. This is actually the Beaverhead County Courthouse. The impressive brick building was the second brick courthouse in Montana. Because of the railroad, Dillon became the economic center of the county and railroad. That's actually where we got fuel. It's up there a ways. Residents of Dillon petitioned the territorial legislature, who called for a special election to determine the location of the Beaverhead County seat. Well, they lost 495 to 665 in 1881. Wow, so this did not last long. But then it became Hotel Meade. Ooh. Okay, I could see it. You know, maybe you had a clerk down here. I guess either way, the county clerk or, you know, what have you. Look at that grand staircase though. Yeah, and you would have, each of these was probably originally designed as a courtroom. So maybe you'd have maybe a judge over there. I don't know how this would be. Maybe a judge over here. That's that. Some chambers. I don't know what this was. Well, okay. Yeah, some of these rooms were pretty large. But then, okay, what's back here? Because it became a hotel afterwards. There must have been some renovation. Yeah, I could see. Well, no, that would have been the original wall, right? Pretty good view out here. I even think about lighting, right? Lighting would have had to been done with candles and lanterns, gas, you know, things like this. Okay, a cooking stove. And then maybe a second stove over here. Oh, an event hood was added at some point. Yeah, electricity was a marvelous thing, right? Like we take it for granted. You know, how much electricity we have just in our pockets alone, you know? Oh, what's in here? Okay. Interesting. Oh. Of course, we have to go up. Yeah, this is a little sturdier than the last steps. Rent a room, anyone? Huh. See, actually, it's pretty quiet in here, and you can see some of the insulation. So we've been in some hotels where, ooh, that's a nice view. Some hotels just don't have great insulation. You can really hear your neighbor and their whole conversation. But yeah, she needs a few repairs. Just a few. These are interesting. They're kind of like a washer, but why would you want holes in them if you wanted a washer, you see? Now the courthouse was originally made for $14,000, and it actually sold to a doctor who renovated it for $1,250. Whoa, whoa, those are some tall ceilings. I'm not sure though, you know, why would you leave I could see it for like council chambers or something. Again, no, I don't know. Maybe those walls are not original then to the court. Fascinating. But I don't, you know, as a hotel goer, I don't want somebody, you know, peeping over, you know. Like, although that is pretty high up. Let's see. That's still hard to, yeah. There we go. What can you guys see? Anything? That is up there, just for some context, right? Like, I can't even reach the top of that door. Oh goodness. Man, this is cool. And there's that beautiful staircase. And the little copper on there, what a classy touch. I ought to put some nice plants here. It is probable that there was never a mining town of the same size that contained more desperados and lawless characters than did Bannack during the winter of 1862 to 63. Thomas Dimsdale. Okay, so here's something a little insane, and this is kind of a bit of a story. So the gallows up there, right? They were created by a sheriff, Plummer, who was then killed not long after by those gallows, right? What? Okay, so this is insane. Henry Plummer moved to Nevada City in 1853, and then he was a city marshal. Apparently he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to San Quentin prison, but then he was given a medical pardon in 1859, which I didn't know was a thing. You don't want to go to San Quentin. even today, especially today, right? Like, bad time. I can only imagine what it was like back then. He traveled to Nevada and Idaho before arriving here in 1862. Shortly after arriving in Bannack, he was tried and acquitted for the murder of Jack Cleveland, but still managed to be elected sheriff in 1863. What? What kind of people were living here? Like, oh yeah, you murdered someone? Okay, cool, I guess. They're like, yeah, well, he was annoying. What? Okay, anyways. So, legend says upon his arrival here, he renewed old acquaintances and organized a criminal gang known as the Innocents. They recruited approximately 25 men who identified themselves with a black handkerchief tied in a sailor's knot. In 8 months, this gang supposedly committed countless robberies and 102 murders, although the evidence is a little slim. So in 1863, the first Vigilance Committee these are the vigilantes, was organized, patterned after a similar organization in California. Vigilante justice was often swift in the early mining camps, as was demonstrated in January and February 1864. A man named Red Yeager, that's a cool name. The name's Red Yeager. He was captured and hanged by a posse from Virginia City. Before he was executed, he reportedly confessed and implicated the sheriff as the leader of a criminal gang. Upon learning of Plummer's involvement, the vigilantes held a meeting in Virginia City and determined to hang Plummer and his deputies. They divided into 3 groups and captured their targets without a shot being fired. On that cold evening, 3 men were marched up to the gallows, lifted up, this is in January, dude, that'd be cold as shit, lifted up and dropped to their death. Plummer, it was said after pleading his innocence, begged the vigilantes to please give me a good drop. If a man can just like pop, pop, you know, shoot someone for being annoying, yeah, dude was totally involved in like a gang with 102 murders and such. Apparently they found like 22 of the other guys in that gang and either killed them, banished them, or silenced them somehow, which silencing today would imply, you know, so I don't know. But what a cool town though. This is really neat. Definitely worth a stop in here. It's not too far out from Yellowstone either. So if you're on your way to Yellowstone and you just kind of want to make a little detour, yeah, really fun. So anyways, there's a lot to cover in here. So you can find out for yourself. We, though, it's getting late. I think it's getting close to 7 p.m. We need to skedaddle and find somewhere to sleep tonight. We have found home for the evening here at this lovely rest stop. Restrooms over here. There's actually a bike camp. Check this out. This is real cool. And it's here in Twin Bridges, Montana. And so if you're a weary traveler biking across America, or hell, even just biking through Montana, especially in the summer. I mean, nobody does it in the winter, I hope. But in the summer, whew, man, the heat. Of course, a day like today would probably be real nice, but this is a really cool thing. Check this out. So, we got a little donation bin, but place to put your stuff, repair, place to crash, you know, or at least take a rest. I'm sure you can put your sleeping bags out. Coast to coast in 2020. Look at that. This is cool. And so some folks donate some, you know, tubes and such. That's nice. There's all these birds out here, and I'm sure the fishing is wonderful. But right here on this river, how nice is that? That's so cool. I think these are like swallows or something. You can see some of these guys. They do like the dive maneuver. They're real active. I'm just gonna keep following them. Look at them go. Aerobatics. This is a really cute town. I actually had to turn around and come back here because it seems like a real nice spot, good and quiet. And, you know, rest areas are usually not great, like in Washington or really any busy town, they kind of suck. This one is like the nicest rest area I've ever been to. Montana has some absolutely great rest areas. Always clean and such. This one even has a lending library, which is kind of cool. And apparently this is all part of the Road Agent Trail. The trail is associated with Sheriff Henry Plummer and his infamous outlaw gang. In the spring of 1863, the gang systematically terrorized travelers on the trail through intimidation, robbery, and occasionally murder. We just learned about him and how he was hanged in the gallows of his own creation. What a wild... Man, I know to some folks it will sound crazy, but we live in the safest time in history. Like, think about it, man. People aren't just doing like a, you know, there's no indoor desk pop, you know what I mean? People are just like shooting people because they annoy them, generally. It seems like people getting shot and murdered and beat up and whatever just wasn't news back then, you know? It's just a course of action, the day, you know? It was a thing of the day. But now it's like, somebody died, you know, and as it should be. It should be a, you know, it should be news, but what a world. So, all right, we're gonna get comfy here. How peaceful is this?